It's cool.
Que onda, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave in the 702 for week 15 of Tailgate Talk. Joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish Drew Evo. Que pasa? I know you got something to say. It's been a rough patch for the Philly Eagles and a great run for the San Francisco 49ers. But Drew, we had lost 3 games in a row, and I know you ain't trying to do that. I know you ain't trying to lose 3 games in a row, right?
No. But I'll be honest, the defense, I think both sides of the football, especially the defense, is historically bad right now. And if you look at it, fix my camera a little bit. If you look at it, I'm looking at the ranks and everything, they're almost dead last in a lot of categories now. And it's just not good play calling at all on the defensive side. And I think the scheme, a bend don't break defense is the worst type of defense, in my opinion, the one in the NFL. Like, my opinion, with this personnel, you want a single high safety or a cover 3 type of defense. Let your corners line up on the receivers, challenge them. Hopefully it gets better, but the offensive play calling got to get better too. They got to run the ball. And here's the thing. When the Eagles won over 23 times, they're 30-8. When they won below 23 times, they're 3-8. So the formula's right there. Run the ball. Set up your set up your offense, set up your play action and everything. I think these coordinators gotta stop and they gotta fucking get to what's working and what worked early on in the season and everything. Because a lot of the shit they're doing is not making sense. A player that was not named but soon to be named, AJ Brown, said the offense is too predictable. The routes are too long. I agree. The routes take too long to set up. It seems like he wants to call a big play every time. No, you guys are known for beating down a defense little by little and scoring on them, taking the time of possession away and getting yards on them. So hopefully, these two blowout losses get it. So, yeah,
it happened to the San Francisco 49ers, Drew, that those 3 games losing streak, a lot of people were questioning and doubting whether Brock Purdy was the guy, and now he's in hot contention for MVP Player of the Year. There were some interesting things on your little Philadelphia-Dallas Cowboys game, Drew. For one, let's talk about Dallas Cowboys kicker, who made an unbelievable 60-yard kick, and the guy played no college football. That shit is crazy. He's a soccer player. I like those kind of stories, but there is a bigger story, and the story is, Drew, that both you and the Dallas Cowboys, who I thought the Dallas Cowboys weren't going to amount to shit this year, you guys both find yourselves 10-3 in a battle for the NFC East, and everything depends on the schedule ahead, Drew. And I know that the Seahawks just took kind of a little ass whooping from the 49ers. And I do think that the Eagles are going to get back in winning shape this week, especially with the Seahawks starting to get a little bit banged up, if you know what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. The Eagles got the easiest 4 games out of the 3 teams. If San Fran loses another game and the Eagles win out, they're not only division champs, but they're the number 1 seed.
Which we're all vying for, including Dallas Cowboys. They want to try to get that number 1 seed. Yeah. I know that we're playing the Ravens at the very end of this December schedule. This weekend, we've got to eat. In fact, this weekend, I've got an opportunity, I think, to have 4 days off. So I'm going to get out there and have some fun. Some of you guys have been following my channel know that I started filming content, try to vlog and shit. So I'm going to go out there this weekend, try to film some stuff, and maybe go check out one of the new casinos here in town, Drew. The Durango Casino has a sports bar, sports club. I might go check out the Niners game there because I'm fairly confident the Niners are going to whoop the shit out of the Cardinals. Only a matter of by how much.
I look at it like this. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose to the Ravens.
Which could be the best team in the AFC, but I haven't been following them to see how they're coming along.
Like, you could score points on them, but their pass defense is 4th in the NFL.
Okay.
Giving up under 200 yards a game in the air. Like, they got our secondary coach from last year as their defensive coordinator. I think that was a mistake letting him go. I think they should have named him the defensive coordinator instead of Desai.
Yeah.
Like, but I look at it like this: is that if I'm the Eagles, I want to win these games by blowout fashion to put notice on to the other teams in the playoff picture that we're not out of it. We're back to form. Hopefully, they actually blow out teams, these 4 teams. But I look at it like this. Am I worried? Yes. Am I panicking yet? No. Both these other teams went through rough spats. If you look at the 49ers getting blown out at home by the Bengals, look at it like this.
And the Bengals, they got beat by the Browns too, and the Vikings.
The Bengals have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and they dominated the Niners' defensive line.
Yeah, but that felt like last year, Drew. Let's be honest. That was like last year, even though it was this season. There were some really interesting things that happened this weekend. Our boy Paul Martinez, who's predicted a lot of upsets this season, he said, how about them Chiefs games? How about that game, Drew? Nobody thought the Bills were going to take that game right down to the wire. You think that Kelsey made this fantastic play. He throws it to the guy behind him, and the whole time they're offsides. The whole thing gets recalled, and Mahomes has the most epic meltdown. Today I'm reading that he's apologizing and whatnot, and this is with Taylor Swift in the audience. Taylor Swift is there for Kelsey, and the Chiefs still lose. Now, they pretty much don't. I don't know the way it's looking. We want to talk about the playoff picture, but it does not look like the Chiefs have the best chance of being the number 1 seed. That's all but gone.
That's gone now.
Yeah, but it's still a hot division. The AFC has 11 teams with a winning record right now.
And here's the thing. That was the right call. He was on the line. That's offsides. But it's actually illegal shit.
Yeah,
illegal.
I saw that picture. I saw the play. Yeah.
So
offsides for sure.
If you look at it, I kind of thought Buffalo could win this game. If the Chiefs, Buffalo can win this game. I thought all week Buffalo could win this game. They're fighting for their playoff lives. But I look at it like this now. Dallas got to go to Buffalo. Dallas got to go to Miami. Dallas got to play the Lions.
Dallas has to play Buffalo in the cold weather.
So, to be honest,
they got a tough schedule.
Dallas could lose 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, they definitely don't have an easy end of the road schedule for them. Those are some 3 interesting games, and they seem to have all the luck winning at home. Drew, we talked about it. They now have a 15-game winning streak at home, and that's all under the tutelage of their quarterback, their current quarterback.
Here's the thing: if the Eagles win out, Dallas loses the division. Even because the Eagles own the tiebreaker. Eagles will own the tiebreaker with them because they'll have the same division record, but the Eagles will have the better conference record if they went out. And that would secure them at least that would secure them no lower than the 2nd seed, unless the 49ers lose one. That gives them the number 1 seed. But let me just say, I'm going to say something. I got into a debate with this guy named Brian that is one host of this sports podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, called Outside the Box Sports Talk.
Okay.
So he put a post on Facebook. He said, Dallas still has not beat a good team yet. So,
So he's insinuating the Eagles weren't the number 1 team just 2 weeks ago.
So, I was like this. So let me ask you something. So you're telling me that the Chiefs and the Bills are not good teams? Did Dallas didn't play the Chiefs and the Bills, but who played them on the Dallas' schedule not too long ago? The Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead and beat the Bills the week after. So you're trying to tell me, I'm guessing you're telling me those two teams are not good teams either, because the Eagles beat them. And to your knowledge, to your logic, the Eagles are not a good team. I did not. And then he tried to turn around his statement and everything. And I told him, your take doesn't make sense, dude. Dallas beat a good team. Only won the Eagles. But they beat a good team. How can you not call the Eagles a good team when, one, they're 10-3, two, they lead the league in teams wins against teams with winning records, which is 5-2, and the Eagles were on a 15-game winning streak against teams with winning records before they played the 49ers and everything, and they're in the top 5 of offense. And they got an MVP caliber quarterback. So he keeps trying to bring it back. I'm like, dude, your take doesn't make sense. You can't explain your take. You have no evidence of your take. So then he brings up the point to me that the Eagles got a badly overrated quarterback. And if it wasn't for the tush push and get that extra yards, he'll be a below average quarterback. And I told him, you have anything on paper? You have any evidence that shows he's an overrated quarterback? Because I'm going to explain to you right now, Brian. I'm going to give you everything that kills your argument and everything that gives you no evidence whatsoever. He didn't want to give me no evidence. So I gave it to him. In the last 31 games, because Jalen Hurts is 26-5 as the Eagles starting quarterback. He leads the league in rushing touchdowns for a quarterback. He's in this conversation of MVP this year again, and last year he was the winner-up. And he was the sole reason why the Philadelphia Eagles almost won the Super Bowl. So I explained this to him. How can you tell me he's an badly overrated quarterback? You have nothing on paper, because you have a horrible take again, dude. How can you be a podcaster? Brian, and I want people to tag this podcast in, because I'm going to call the dude out Brian again. How can you come with 5 bad takes in one argument and not have no evidence, no physical evidence that your takes make sense? None of your takes make sense, dude. It's a fucking shame. You're just doing, and like I asked you, do you watch anything on Fox or ESPN during the day? No, because they try to get people to notice them for making bad takes. But you're doing the same thing. You're trying to have people notice your dumbass podcast for fucking bad takes that you do. Where the other two guys are smarter than you. I guess you got to be the dumb motherfucker on the group, Brian. So I'm sorry, man. At the end of the day, man, I guess this was taking it for somebody that's used to being part of losing fan bases in New York and everything. Because I see in the back of your thing, you got a Rangers thing. Hey, newsflash, when the last time the Rangers won anything? They always choke and everything. So, bro, I know you always used to being part of a losing fan base and everything, bro, but come on, man. Do better. You're a podcaster, man. At least act like you're somewhat unbiased. I hate the Cowboys, but I'm going to admit and be somewhat unbiased because I can do that other than you. You just a fucking hater of of the Eagles, bro, and Cowboys. So at the end of the fucking day, bro, you got a bunch of horrible tastes. I don't know how the fuck you get all these people watching you unless they watch them. And when you go start talking, they be like this in the chat. Yo, let me know when he's done talking so I can come back on.
Drew Sin City Syndicate, our homeboy in the chat, says the NFL is not a sport, it's a novela, and I have the script. Remember July, I told you to go buy the 20-1 odds on the Ravens. And speaking of the Ravens, that's the only game I'm concerned about for the 49ers, my home team. At the end of December, Drew, it turns out Lamar Jackson has a 19-1 career record against NFC teams. He did manage to beat the Rams this past weekend in overtime. He's 19-1, and just the thought of how the Dallas Cowboys are 15-0, and I predicted that they would beat your team, the Eagles, this past weekend. I'm nervous, man. With his winning record, 19-1, he's got a tremendous winning streak against NFC teams. Maybe Sin City Syndicate is on to something about this. By the way, if you're still here and you're a Raiders fan, guys, the Raiders are going to kick off tomorrow. I'm not sure if they're playing here in town. I know that they're playing, and they potentially could be starting Jimmy G, Drew, tomorrow. Jimmy G. I have Thursday night off. I'm not doing no shows. I'm going to go out and enjoy the game somewhere and watch that. But they scored against the Vikings. What was that? They played the Vikings, right?
Yeah, 3-0.
3-0. Not only that, there was 2 games this past weekend that were 0-0 at halftime. And one of them included CJ Stroud's the Texans, which I can't believe. For my friend Johnny Savage, he must be in heaven right now that CJ Stroud is on concussion protocol and won't be playing. And they lost to the Jets. And the Jets turned up, 30 points in the second half of that game? Unbelievable offense. CJ Stroud being out, man, this puts Jaguar fans in a very comfortable place to pretty much solidify winning the AFC East. What do you think about that?
I look at it like this. It's a terrific record that he has against the NFC, Lamar. And to be honest, there's also history can be made on Monday night with the Eagles. If the Eagles beat the Seahawks, Jalen Hurts will have a win against every team in the NFC.
Yeah, speaking of the Vikings, they've got a new quarterback again, and it happens to be the leftover 49ers secondary or third-string quarterback who saw a lot of play in the past 2 years, Drew, as we were going through the whole Jimmy G injured era. A lot of you guys are going to remember Nick Mullins. He's starting for the Vikings this weekend. That's crazy. And there's just, and I think Beathard, I think he's still playing. Flacco, 38 years old, put on one hell of a game this past weekend for the Browns. So there's a lot of backup quarterbacks this week, and there are a lot of teams that are now really bitterly fighting for that wild card spot. A lot of teams that are 6 and 7 right now, or what? Some crazy like that.
Well, Dave, we have breaking news.
What's that? Tell me.
The Patriots and Bill Belichick are parting ways after this. And the end of an era. Bill Belichick will coach his last 4 games for the New England Patriots.
You know, he meant his video production. Shout out to my homeboy. He's a Raiders fan. If you come to when you come to Vegas next time, not if, but when you come to Vegas, make sure you go check out the M Casino because they have their own Raiders restaurant. And everybody tells me to go, and I haven't even been there. But I might actually go check that out. Maybe I'll go to the Raiders restaurant tomorrow at the M Casino. Since they're playing at home.
Fuck them.
They're playing right up the street. So, Drew, do you have any final thoughts on Week 14 before we go into our Week 15 picks?
I want to forget about it.
You want to forget? Drew's ready to move on. With a 2-game losing streak, I don't blame you. All right.
I almost punched my TV, so I don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right, the playoff hunt is here. And starting tomorrow night, we got Thursday night games. We got Saturday night games. This is what's crazy. There's 3 games on Saturday, and there's a game tomorrow. And then we've got our regularly scheduled Sunday games. Tomorrow, the LA Chargers, which I think he just called them the Sparklers. The Raiders, Drew, despite not scoring any points, are favored to win by 3. I find this very hard to believe. The over is 34.5. Are they thinking Jimmy G's playing tomorrow?
I'm going to take the fucking Raiders because Justin Herbert's out for the year.
Right, he's hurt. That's what I was saying. There's a lot of backup quarterbacks playing this weekend as we get towards the playoffs, and they're favored for that. I guess they're favored for that. And listen, I think with Jimmy G potentially playing tomorrow, maybe the Raiders do pick up a win. Shout out to my boy Don A. Man, you got to get back on the air, brother. I missed this guy. Don A was the funniest. He had the best, funniest show on Friday night, and I need to see you back on YouTube, brother. So shout out to Don A. Don's from the East Coast. Are you Bills Mafia, Don? Just throw that in there. Are you Bills Mafia? All right, Drew. We both agreed Thursday night for Jimenez. I hope the Raiders pick up another win. Does that put them still in kind of a wild card position?
I'm gonna be honest. I think the Raiders are out. The Raiders are out of it. I think Denver is a game back of the Chiefs now and everything. I think there's like too many teams that are applying for it that have a tiebreaker over the Raiders.
Yeah, and my boy did respond. He said Bills. Yeah, and Bills find themselves with that win against Kansas City Chiefs, keeping their playoff dreams alive, right?
Yeah,
they're still in the hunt for a wild card spot. All right, Thursday, it's all but said and done. I'm going to go out and enjoy the game on the town somewhere. We get to Saturday where there's 3 games, and almost all these teams have identical records. Minnesota Vikings, I just mentioned Nick Mullins is going to be starting for them. I don't know, was that their third quarterback against the Cincinnati Bengals? And Bengals are favored by 3, Drew. Nick Mullins has a 5-12 record as a starter. I don't know if he's ready for that pressure.
I don't know. Like, I look at it like this. Like, we don't know what Bengals team we're getting. We don't have Joe Burrow on this, but we don't know what Bengals team we're going to get. Would it be a good look if they made the playoffs without Burrow and everything? But I would go with the Bengals on this one. I just don't trust the Vikings enough.
You hear that speech? By the way, if Don, if you're still listening, Speech was just out here. Our buddy Speech was just out here for that Raiders game, and he has some good jokes. He went to that game, and he said a win is a win, but 3 points, that's all they were able to muster up. But that was all the Vikings needed to win this past weekend here in Las Vegas. The second game on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. is Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Indiana Colts, Drew. And the Steelers seem to be just falling apart. What do you think about them?
2 bad losses against 2 bad teams at home. And Kenny Pickett, I don't know. It's really, you can't trust the Steelers.
But they still got a winning record, 7-6, still vying for a playoff spot for that wild card spot.
They should be 9-4 right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a problem. They're actually not favored to win this weekend because of their poor play, as you mentioned. Do they drop 3 in a row?
I think they do. I can't trust them to win. I don't think they win this game. I think that the offensive woes are gonna affect this team again. Like, I don't know. Like, if next year in the offseason, the main focus for the Steelers has to be offense. More weapons to put around Kenny Pickett. Or you guys got to figure out, is Kenny Pickett your answer long-term at quarterback? There's a lot of questions.
So it sounds to me like you're going to lay it on Indiana Colts.
I picked the Colts. I think the Colts will pull this off. So we'll see.
I pretty much noticed that whatever you say, Drew, Paul's just against whatever you say. He just pretty much picks everything against Drew. He has the Steelers winning and the Vikings taking it already so far.
You'd be like, if let's say Tennessee and Miami, like, I'll pick Miami. Oh, the Titans are due for a win.
All right, this game. All right, this game late Saturday afternoon. It's kind of important. Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions aren't looking as good as they used to, Drew.
I think the Lions get back on track a little bit. I just don't see. I can't see them completely breaking down.
At 9-4, they're in the NFC, they're the fourth best team. We've got three teams right now in the NFC, including your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and the Dallas Cowboys, all tied at 10-3. With the Lions at 9-4, they still look like they're going to take the NFC North. I don't know what happened to Drew, making me do the football show all by myself. What are you guys' thoughts right here on this game? The Lions versus, let's see here. I forgot already. The Lions are playing the Denver Broncos. Oh, Paul, I know you're going to say Denver Broncos for the upset, but the Detroit Lions are favored by just 4 points. And I think Detroit Lions got to take this game, but it's interesting to see what left the Denver Broncos have this season. Let's see. Let's go to the chat here. Paul, can you give me another LA Kings troll goal for good luck? So, were you guys watching hockey now? All right. What happened to Drew? I don't know. Did he step off for the show good? What's going on, Drew? All right. Let's move on to the next game. I guess I'll move on to Sunday's game. And a lot of you guys saw Patrick Mahomes completely melt down on what he thought was bad officiating. And this weekend, he should have no problem getting by what Drew just said was Bill Belichick now calling it over with the New England Patriots. And the Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 7.5 points. So, Drew, I just moved on to Sunday's game. But if you want to give me your pick on Denver Broncos versus the Detroit Lions are favored by 4. Do you lay that? You lay it on the Lions? Cover the spread?
You know what? I'm going to put money on Denver.
Denver with the upset. That put Detroit Lions at 9-5. That still puts them comfortably ahead of the Vikings. And if the Vikings can't win this weekend with Nick Mullins, as I mentioned, they're still sitting on top of their division. So anyhow, back to Patrick Mahomes, Drew. He's been kind of falling apart. They definitely don't look like the powerhouse of yesteryear. Against the New England Patriots that you just mentioned that they're parting ways with Belichick finally. Do they smoke them past 7.5? They're favored by 7.5.
I think they win this game by 10. The Chiefs. Tell you the truth, the Patriots parting ways with Belichick is overdue. They should have done it after last year. It's just not, the Patriot way is just not working anymore. And it's clearly not, he's not he did take this was a home run hit pick that he did in the first round with Christian Gonzalez. And he did get hurt this year, but Christian Gonzalez, before he got hurt, was actually being shut down corner and everything. And was in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So will it be an attractive job? Yes and no, because of your quarterback situation and the picks that they have. They're going to probably have a top 10 pick. And I think, the team, the players, the scouting department, because Belichick played as a GM and coach, and a lot of players, head scratchers since Brady left.
Shout out to Chicano Prophet from the Al Chile. Shout out to my primo, Sergio Fernandez says, Hoodie's a great coach, but it's time. Chicano Prophet says, damn, I'm out of the NFL loop. Isn't he a god of New England, Drew? Those days are long over, right?
Yeah, those days are long over. Here's the thing. They're not winning. They're not going to make the playoffs anymore as long as Matt Jones is their quarterback. It's just like Matt Jones is just taking too much in that organization.
Well, it's time to rebuild the entire team, right? Are they going to change the general manager?
Believe in them.
Right. All right, guys. This game's interesting because the Jets scored 30 points after the second half, Drew. It was 0-0 against the Texans. Now all of a sudden they're explosive, and they're playing the conference leaders in the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are starting to get banged up a little bit. They're favored by 8.5, though. Can the Jets pull off it? Paul's in here talking upsets. Can the Jets pull off an epic upset?
Here's the thing. Miami's lost their center for the year with a torn ACL. Do I see them being upset by the Jets? Hell no.
Not possible.
Not possible. I can't see it unless Tyreek Hill does not play.
Is he questionable? Is he questionable?
He might be questionable. I'm not sure. I have to look at the injury report.
That might be one that you guys might want to wait on before you make a parlay on that, if you include them in your parlay. Paul thinks the Jets can do it. And you know what? I think they could put up some points. I think this game is going to be a lot closer. For once, I think the Dolphins barely cover the spread. It might just be a touchdown. I don't know. I see the Jets potentially having an explosive performance again. But yeah, I could be wrong. Drew, you're going with Dolphins covering the 8.5-point spread?
Yeah.
All right. The Giants and the New Orleans Saints. Saints favored by 5.5. Two teams I can give a shit about. What's their playoff picture looking for right now? Looks like the Saints
are still in the wild card. Saints are still in the division hunt. Giants are 5-8. They're virtually still in it. No, mathematically still in it. Doubt they'll make it. I think I'm picking the Saints to win.
Yeah,
this Tommy DeVito shit ain't happening anymore.
Right. Saints are 6-7, tied. Everybody in the NFC South is tied at 6-7. Strength of the schedule though, they're third though. But any of those teams, right, could pick this up. Buccaneers, Falcons, Saints. The Panthers obviously are the complete joke of the NFL this year. They can't put up any points. Panthers are 1-12. They're going nowhere. So this game, Drew, you're going with the Saints?
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints. I can see them. I can see the Saints winning this, and it's going to be a close game. I can't see the Saints blowing them out, but I'm picking the Saints to win this. If you look at it, when Tampa Bay, before this past week's game, Edwin had a 30% chance, a 30% chance of making the playoffs. If they would have lost, Tampa Bay would have been virtually out. They virtually would have been out of the playoffs. If they would have won, they would have a 50-50 shot. They won, and they have a 50-50 shot now. Now, the Saints right now have a 50-50 shot to get in also. But the Saints control their own destiny. They win, it looks good for them. If they lose, they're not out of it, but it's probably going to be a 20% chance they make the playoffs.
All right, Drew. This game should be very interesting. We talked about Flacco coming back, favored by 3 points. Flacco, 38 years old, playing the Chicago Bears. This is a team he should blow out this weekend. What are your thoughts on that? They're favored by only 3 points. A Midwest battle. This game should be cold too.
I'm gonna be honest with you when it comes to the Browns. Even with Joe Flacco, they're gonna make the playoffs. The Browns. The Browns have a 75% chance of making the playoffs now.
That's pretty high.
They make the playoffs, they're going to win a playoff game. They're going to go on the road and beat a playoff team.
They're one of the teams that beat the San Francisco 49ers. He's got a ton of experience. This isn't a game that I think should be very difficult for them at all. That would put them at 9-5, Drew, on the verge of clinching a playoff spot. Very interesting.
I'm picking the Browns to win this game. I think that they're finally going to get it together on the road because they're a totally different defense on the road than they are at home. But the Browns are the number one ranked pass defense, giving up 160 yards a game in the air. So they They got a defense, and I tell you the truth, Flacco only got to make a couple plays a game and manage the game and not to lose. I'll be honest with you right now. We could see the Browns make the AFC title game
against the Ravens. I can
see that.
You can see that against the Ravens.
I don't know if we see. I don't think the Ravens are going to make the AFC title game.
Interesting. You think
I just don't see it because
Kansas
if you look
City,
at a team,
Jaguars.
if you look at this season, teams that they should have beaten, they lose to.
Right.
Well, they make it difficult.
Well, shit, I hope they lose to the San Francisco 49ers, that's for sure. All right, Drew, these next 3 games at 10 a.m. are games that are not competitive at all. They're the Las Vegas sports bookmakers have it just pretty much all these next 3 games are just +3, -3. Atlanta Falcons versus the worst team in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. Falcons favored by 3. Easy money, right?
I take the money line with the Falcons. I'm not taking the 3 points.
All right, and let's look at their situation here. The Falcons here. Falcons are doing what? They're one of the poorest divisions, the NFC.
Like if you look at it,
they're still in the hunt. We just mentioned it. Buccaneers, Falcons, Saints, all 6-7.
But here's the thing: when it comes to the Falcons, they have a 50-50 shot too. At the end of the day, when it comes to these 3 teams, it may come down to division record, and after that, it may go to. And then if they're tied with a division record, it may go to a conference record.
Right, and so the next game.
And look at it. Let me see if I can bring up. Let me see if I can bring up the standings.
So who's got a tougher game this weekend? Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers, and the Falcons play the Carolina Panthers. They should absolutely win that game. Jimenez production says, hey, Panthers for the win. At some point, Panthers have got to pick up a win, right? Paul thinks it's time for an upset as well, even though they're 1-12.
So I'm trying to find the actual fucking record. It's like conference record and everything.
Well, the Buccaneers are 6-7, Falcons are 6-7, and Green Bay Packers are 6-7. And Jordan Love, is he playing this weekend for the Packers?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Packers have got a damn good chance of beating the Buccaneers. Both 2 teams at 6-7.
All right. So if the playoffs will start today, they all have 6-7 records. Now we go to the division record. Tampa's 3-1, Atlanta's 3-1, the Saints are 2-2. That means the Saints are eliminated. And it's between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. They're both 3-1 in the division. Now they go to conference record. If the playoffs started today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the tiebreaker because they have the better conference record.
That's exactly what Sin City Syndicate says. But, Drew, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not favored to win this weekend against Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. Green Bay Packers are favored by 3.5 points. Now, Buccaneers lose, and as we just mentioned, the Falcons win. They step ahead. They step ahead of the line.
Here's the thing. Green Bay controls its own destiny right now at that last playoff spot. Now, the Green Bay controls its own destiny. They are 4-4 conference record. They're 6-7. So the teams that are competing for that last spot are the Rams, which has the same conference record as Green Bay, 4-4. Seattle, which is 5-5 conference record. So that will bump. Technically, the Rams are on the tiebreaker with the Seahawks and everything because they have a better division record than the Seahawks. But if you look at it, the Vikings, let's say if Green Bay and the Vikings finish with the same record, and if they go conference, Vikings have a 6-3 record. against the NFC. While Green Bay has a 4-4 record, they also have a better division record so far with 2-1 and everything. So now if they would have the same conference record, then it goes to strength of schedule, strength of victory, which the Vikings' best victory is the 49ers and everything. So, they take them for consideration. Now, if people look at it like this, for the Eagles haven't played many more division games as Dallas, but they're 3-1. Dallas is 4-1 and everything. Eagles win out. The Eagles will win the division, basically because they'll have more conference wins than the Cowboys. And if you look at it like this, the head-to-head meeting with the Niners gives the Niners the tiebreaker. They're 8-1 in the conference, which would be the lone losses the 49ers. It's a lot of things that can go wrong. And the shame is with the Bills, if they're tied at the end of the season with everybody with like 3 or 4 different teams, they don't make the tiebreaker with any of them. The Bills have to win out, most likely, or a lot of dominoes have to fall. They need to not only do their best to win out, the Bills could only afford to lose one more game and everything. It's really, the Bills lose a lot of tiebreakers. Mostly every team that's a playoff team right now. You lose every tiebreaker with them. That's why the Bills right now are only at maybe a 35% chance of making the playoffs.
That's right. Man, that sucks for them, especially since they beat such a strong team in the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Drew. So after that game, we got Houston Texans. We mentioned C.J. Stroud they were talking about him being MVP of the year, and now he's on concussion protocol, something Chicano Prophet says the NFL's rigged. But are the concussions there? They're not fake. They're for real in the NFL. And he got one. And he, for the star rookie quarterback, he's not playing now. And this sets their team back in the playoff hunt big time. Drew, the Tennessee Titans are favored by 3. Without C.J. Stroud, they're losing. They're losing. Go ahead, Drew.
There they are. And the Texans are going to go as far as C.J. Stroud takes them right now until they get better. They're a young team. They're in the stages of rebuilding. And the rebuilding is way ahead of schedule because how good they're playing. So they should be happy because they're way ahead of schedule now in a rebuild because they have a lot more chances to get better now. And they still got picks from the Deshaun Watson trade. So that would be wonders for them.
All right. This game sounds crazy because I don't think of these two teams as offensive powerhouses, Drew. And on this next game, the over is 50.5 points. That's a whole shitload of points that they expect the Washington Commanders and the LA Rams to throw up this Sunday. And the Rams are favored by 6.5 points, Drew.
I'm going to take that 6.5 with the Rams. I think the Rams, are getting healthier now. And the Rams could steal a playoff spot.
You think so?
Can still run those last playoff spots. And it's not going to be the 5th. One of them's going to, the two last seeds, the Rams could snag up.
Because I don't think any would. You might as well go on under for 50.5 points. I don't think they're scoring 50 points combined together.
If you look at it like this, no. I'm more likely if those points, like you're probably going to get like 40 something because I could see the Rams blowing out the Commanders.
All right. 1:00. My team, the San Francisco 49ers, played the god-awful Arizona Cardinals. Shout out to Derek Ware, who played for the Cardinals. Cardinals had one good game this year, Drew. And, despite winning last week against the Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers did not cover the spread. For everybody that says, oh, the NFL is rigged, they didn't cover the spread, Drew. This spread is negative 12.5 points. They should blow out the Cardinals. They should absolutely blow out the Cardinals. Will they? Well, I don't know. It's the end of season. Players are getting tired. They're not playing like it. But will they cover this spread? 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, probably. They'll probably cover the spread. But if you look at it, he threw a pick last week, Brock Purdy and everything. I just got to see. Here's the thing. I look at it, and yeah, they got into it the right time. But the thing about it is, playoffs come. The question will be: is Shanahan gonna finally win that big one, or is he gonna choke again? Because Shanahan is used to choking in big games.
Drew, today I read that despite the way it's set up to vote for MVP, despite Brock Purdy being in the lead, that doesn't guarantee him to be the MVP. That the way the voting is, he may absolutely not get it. I don't even understand how they vote for MVP, but it sounds pretty crazy.
Here's the thing. They do reporters, they do first place ballot votes and everything, but a lot of those people may consider Brock Purdy as a game manager. And think about it. So, like, would that team still be the way it is without Purdy? I don't know, to be honest with you. Like, they showed when they didn't have some of the players early on the season, they couldn't do anything. The Niners have to be completely healthy to win. That's early on the season.
That's true. Even last year in the NFC Championship game, Buffalo Bills coming off the biggest win of their season last Sunday against Patrick Mahomes in a nail-biter are playing the Dallas Cowboys, who just beat Drew's Eagles. Does the Buffalo Bills got it in them to beat the 10-3 Dallas Cowboys? They're favored by 2 fucking points. That I can't believe that the Bills are favored. I would love to see that. I would love to see the Cowboys lose. Buffalo. Cowboys can't play in cold weather. Their win streak is at home. They play better at home.
I'm gonna because the Bills are like 5-1 at home. So, or 5-1, 6-1 at home. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I would pick the Bills to win and take the spread.
But Dak Prescott's numbers are awfully impressive, Drew. I was looking at his quarterback rating. He is playing exceptionally well despite getting spanked by the San Francisco 49ers. With the momentum they have over that big win against your team, the Eagles, do you think they can't play in the cold weather?
They'll go into Buffalo and lose.
Oh, man. Whoever's still listening, please let me know. Joe's Sports Channel. Joe, what? Bro, you always have an invite to come on our channel. Come on next Wednesday. Be our third co-host. Joe, everybody follow my boy Joe's Sports Channel. Actually, let me see. Could I invite you on right now? Let me see.
Because I have some type of interview link.
Yeah, I do have an interview link. I just don't have it set up for this stream, but I'm going to try to throw it up here. This will give you an opportunity. Let me see here. Options. I do have the interview link. Where does it go? Where'd it go here? Bear with me, fellas. But
here's the thing. When it comes to the Cowboys, they're not like they're a good home team, great home team. But on the road, they're a different team and everything. And I think that the Bills, with so much on the line for them, having to win out, virtually win out, I think they're going to show up and win against the Cowboys. And then, people didn't expect them to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and they went and beat them. So if you look at it, as of right now, the Bills control their own destiny. They don't control their own destiny, but they got to win. But if you look at the stand, like I'm not going back and look at the standings on my phone, but if you look at shit like that, the Bills could be destined to win this game. And like this is the gauntlet beginning for the Cowboys. Now, because after this game, they play Miami in Miami. So that could be 2 straight losses for the Cowboys.
It could be. And that would put you guys back comfortably ahead in first place.
And
oh, that would be
thing,
so
Dave,
good for your Eagles fans.
And here's the thing, Dave. The media will be giving them the shit. And they couldn't beat the Buffalo Bills. They couldn't beat the Miami Dolphins. Oh, the Cowboys they're going to do that talk next week. Or for 2 weeks if they lose both games.
Yeah, our boy Joe is joining us. I just have to find his camera. Joe.
Is he on?
Joe, you here? Oh, he was here. He just disconnected, I believe. Joe, you still there? Oh, you muted yourself, Joe. And I'm trying to add you too.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't even hear him.
I'm just.
Is that better?
You sound fantastic, but I don't know how to add your camera here because this is a new setup for me. But everyone can hear you. Drew, you can't hear him?
No.
Oh, because Drew's on Skype. But Joe, give us your thoughts, man. I haven't talked to you in a long time. Everybody, check out my boy Joe's Sports Channel. We're approaching the playoffs here, week 15. What are your thoughts on this weekend's game? Is there any game you wanted to chime in on? Did you want to argue with Drew?
I'm looking forward to actually the Green Bay Packers after, losing to the Giants last Monday, unfortunately. That was a tough game, 24-22, but I think we'll rebound. We're the 7th seed right now. I got faith in Love still, and a couple of years ago I said there's no love for Love, but I think this team is capable to make a wild card run. But I really want to say something. Everybody, watch out for the San Francisco 49ers. I said it at the beginning of the year, this team is something to watch out for. The only team that can stop them, and if they continue on playing good football, are the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I can say.
Joe, what do you think of Jordan Love? Last week we were going over his numbers, his rookie stats, and they're virtually identical to his predecessor, the great quarterback before him. At this level in games, their stats almost evenly match up. And the quarterback that just left with the what's his name? The star player. He's gonna be a 49er too. Joe, help me out here.
Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you. I have a brain farce, man. I'm an old man at this point. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. What do you think of Jordan Love?
It's okay, you're not that old.
You think he's gonna be your franchise quarterback?
I think what I think there's potential in Jordan Love. I think there's a lot of potential, but he needs to be smarter with the ball, and he needs to look for his receivers more. Because I see Love likes to scramble, and when you scramble as a quarterback, you're not successful in the NFL. So he needs to scramble more, and he needs to throw the ball a lot more faster than what he's doing. Because last week was unacceptable against the New York Giants. The Giants are a terrible team this year, and the defense is awful.
Right. I appreciate all the kind words for the San Francisco 49ers. Do you see the Green Bay Packers kind of sneaking into the playoffs? Wild card?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to win the next 4 games. We got the Buccaneers, then we got Carolina, then we got Minnesota, and we finish off with Chicago at home. I think if we can go on this roll and win these next 4 games, we'll make the playoffs.
Joe, I just figured out how to put your camera, but it's not like StreamYard. Look how funny everybody looks. This is my boy Joe coming out of Toronto. Joe, last I remember, you just got married, man. How's the married life?
It's good. Married life is good. Can't
Good to
complain. Hear. Nothing's better than ever before, Feeling great. How about you? What's new with you?
I left the Bay Area. I'm a big 49ers fan, but I make my home here in Las Vegas now, starting all over. The city of transplants. Your boy's now living in Las Vegas full time.
What are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles?
My thoughts or Drew? Drew's the Philly guy. Drew's from Philadelphia here.
No, your thoughts. Your thoughts.
I think they're a great team, and I'm looking forward to playing them in the NFC Championship playoffs again and having redemption. You know, unfortunately, Drew's team got a little bit lucky last year when Brock Purdy suffered that injury, and this year, you know, as he mentioned, providing that we come in healthy, I think we take it. I think we take that NFC Championship game.
I think Dallas should have beat Philadelphia a few weeks ago, and Buffalo should have beat them. And Philly's been lucky a lot of times this year. It's been going their way. But I think, you know, there's an old saying, you know, you're going to taste your own medicine when it comes down to the postseason. I think Jalen Hurts, you know, he's going to be playing a little hurt in the National Football League postseason. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't call him great. You call great quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, like Josh Allen, quarterbacks can actually throw the ball and run. I think Josh Allen, I believe, is a lot better than Jalen Hurts in my eyes. And he'll be a more successful quarterback in the near future when when Josh Allen starts playing like Josh Allen all over again.
Can we call Josh Allen great? No, because Josh Allen, we always know prediction that he's going to throw that crucial interception. And here's the thing. I think Jalen Hurts has potential to be great. To me, he's the number 2 quarterback in the league right now because Jalen Hurts, all he does is win. And if we say, oh, the Eagles are lucky to get these wins. Great teams, good teams find ways to win those games against good teams. And tell you the truth, that game against Dallas in Philadelphia, you want to know what that came down to? Situational football and execution.
You must have watched a different game than I did.
The Eagles executed. Dallas did not. Dallas had CeeDee Lamb had 191 yards receiving yards, and they still did not win the game. That's a rare occasion. Because usually if CeeDee Lamb goes for that much, you're guaranteed Dallas could win that game most of the time, right? They didn't win that game because of that. They lost that game because Eagles made more plays. Eagles made plays when they had to. They were better situated than the Cowboys coaching staff that game. Now the Buffalo Bills, they made plays going back into the game. They even went to Arrowhead down 10 at halftime and beat the Chiefs. And to me, the Chiefs are always going to be in that upper tier of the AFC until somebody knocks them off in the playoffs in the AFC. Now, when the playoffs start, whole different season. They could say that, like the Vikings last year. They finished, 13 and 5, I believe.
Yeah.
What happened? The Giants came into Minnesota and beat the balls off of them. A team that nobody thought had business in the playoffs went into Minnesota, shut down Justin Jefferson, and beat them. Now, I'm saying that could that happen again? It could. A wild card team might be lucky to go into one of these higher seeds and get a win and everything. I doubt it. I think the only home team in the playoffs that's going to lose in the first round is probably going to be whoever wins the NFC South. I just think that's a horrible division. I don't think any of those teams are going to beat a team in the wild card round.
I think one of the wild card teams will go to the Super Bowl.
5 seed will probably to me. I think Philly has the most favorable schedule ahead. I think they win the NFC East and win out, and the Cowboys get the 5th, and they'll probably. I'm picking Tampa Bay to win the South, so I think they'll go to Tampa Bay again. It'll be a rematch from last year in the first round, and they possibly blow out Tampa Bay. In Tampa, I don't think it's going to even close than last year game. And then we could see them go to San Fran again, Dallas. But I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to crucial games in the playoffs, Dak hasn't showed up, and Kyle Shanahan just chokes at the end.
Oh shit! You know who loves to say choke?
Evidence is there.
Joe is Johnny Savage. You remember Johnny Savage?
In the Super Bowl, and they failed to run the ball.
I talked to him.
And they keep passing against the Patriots, and you let Tom Brady come back on you to complete the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history in OT. The only game in Super Bowl history to go OT, by the way. And then when you're the coordinator,
can you hear me?
Of the Washington,
I'm not sure. Drew, let me ask you before. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you hear him, or are you hearing him through the YouTube speaker?
I gotta hear him through the YouTube speaker.
So he's hearing you on a delay because you're on interview mode and he's on Skype, so there's a delay. It's not like StreamYard.
But I look at it like this: until we see somebody knock off Patrick Mahomes, until we see.
Oh, we just saw the Bills do it.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Okay.
In the playoffs. Until we see Dallas make an NFC title game, we can't talk about those teams until Dak get that signature win on the playoffs. They have failed to do that. Kyle Shanahan has not made it to a Super Bowl since being coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. So he has a lot to show still, because if he doesn't make it again, that's what his legacy is going to be so far as a coach / coordinator. So there's a lot of pressure.
Do you really?
Now,
I got to go back to the Super Bowl.
If the Eagles can get this right, win these games,
I'm not sure you heard that,
in good fashion, get back on track and everything, go get some momentum and everything. It's a whole new season. Anything can happen. I'm not in panic mode yet when it comes to the Eagles, because I think the Eagles have the leaders on that team to get it right. And I think they all offer each other and everything. I just think that they need to tweak their defensive scheme a little bit to favor their personnel, because this bend them don't break defense never works. Ask the Minnesota Vikings defense from last year. They're the same type of defense. And what happens? You lost games when it meant the most because you were afraid to give up that big play. And that's the problem. Teams are afraid to give up big plays, and instead of trying to just stop them from getting yardage. And that's what it's a shame that the new NFL is nowadays.
We got 2 more games to discuss, guys. 5:20 primetime, AFC powerhouses. I just mentioned Johnny Savage. He's the only guy I know who's a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. They are not favored to win this game against the Baltimore Ravens, Drew. You know, Lamar Jackson, we mentioned he's 19-1 against NFC teams. I'm worried about playing the Baltimore Ravens, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence and Johnny Savage, need to be worried this weekend about the Baltimore Ravens. They are not favored. They're favored to lose by 3 points. I'll start with you, Joe. Does the Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars pull off an upset?
Absolutely not. Are they playing in Jacksonville or in Baltimore?
Good question. Does anybody know? I don't know. If anybody in the chat can drop it. But you don't think they get past Lamar Jackson?
I don't think so. I think the Baltimore Ravens right now are unstoppable in the regular season. Now, if we're talking playoffs, that's a different opinion from Joe Booney and Joe Sports Channel. I think this game will go tight until halftime. Mm-hmm. And after their first half, I think Baltimore just explodes on them. I don't think anybody can stop Lamar Jackson right now. After seeing that performance last week and that punt for return, there's no win for Jacksonville. I think Baltimore's way too good right now. And the only way Jacksonville wants to stop Baltimore, you got to sack Lamar Jackson. I think it's unstoppable to sack him right now. But that's just my opinion.
Jaguars would drop to 8-6 if the Colts can pull off a win. If they could potentially be tied in the AFC South, at both teams at 8-6. Anybody thinks Colts are winning? Drew, did you have the Colts winning this weekend?
Yeah, I picked the Colts winning this weekend against the Steelers.
And the Texans, we mentioned C.J. Stroud earlier. Joe, C.J. Stroud on concussion protocol. It's not likely the Texans will pick up their 8th win. But that
But
makes that division really tight. This division is up for grabs, no?
It does.
I'm gonna say this
It
right now.
does.
Baltimore this season, Baltimore has played down to their competition. Baltimore has lost home games against the Indianapolis Colts and has given up a 31, almost a 20-point lead to the Cleveland Browns when they won on Deshaun Watson and lost that game. They lost to a couple teams they should have beaten at home. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are ranked in the top 5 in one defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Baltimore does well, is won the ball and everything. I will, and they're so good in pass coverage, the Baltimore defense. But at times it just doesn't show up when it against teams that they should beat.
Can I say something?
I'm picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat the Baltimore Ravens, so they will be pissed off enough
Crazy talk.
to go to San Fran and beat the 49ers to show everybody that they're back. Because here's the thing. Every time they lost to a team they should have beaten the Ravens this year, they went back the next week against a good team at home and blew them out. The Detroit Lions.
Listen, let me say something.
The Lions that following week when they lost to the Colts.
Drew, he's going to take the floor now and see if you could hear him on your YouTube.
I think Baltimore wins this weekend. I think Pittsburgh upsets Indianapolis in Indianapolis. I think Mitchell Trubisky turns it around. This is a must-win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The only way and why the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-6 is because of T.J. Watt and that defense. If Pittsburgh wants to stay in that wild card spot or even close to that hunt, they must win this week. And I believe in Mike Tomlin, and I believe in that defense, and I think the offense turns it around this week. I think Najee Harris explodes in Indianapolis, at least 15 carries for at least 120 yards. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one, and I'm picking Baltimore to beat Jacksonville by 10 plus.
That covers the spread easily. Very different, a big difference of opinions, guys. That leaves us to Monday Night Football, where Drew's Philly Eagles will return Monday, Drew. And we do our show regularly at 7:45, our boxing recap. So we'll have to wait until the Eagles get past the NFC Seahawks, Drew. And you've said before on our show the Seahawks would eventually take the NFC West. Not this year. You guys smoked the NFC.
This guy's nuts.
You smoked the Seahawks by how much, crack. Drew? Drew, your mic is on mute now. The mic's on mute.
I'm saying the Eagles will win that game. I'm not sure. I can't say it's going to be a blowout or not. I got to see, because I think a win here starts it off, and maybe we should blow. I will hope that we blow out the last 3 teams on the schedule and everything. It's time for the Eagles to get back to what they was. And it's time, and it starts this week. The defense is not a quick fix, but there are little areas that you can improve on third down defense to get off the field. To me, I always said this personnel is better at a single high safety to cover 3 defense. Let your corners line up to them and challenge those receivers. Don't let them line up 15 yards apart and everything. You're giving the underneath routes, and you're giving up yards. And eventually you're tiring out your guys, because when they do slant routes, which beats the underneath and everything, they have to chase them. And the middle of the field is exposed. I really think this playing a cover 3 or a single high safety defends your middle well, and then get your corners more involved in actually challenging these wide receivers, and that's what they need. So this defensive line can go to work a little bit. You can disguise your coverages, disguise your blitzes. You got to do the little things in order to start a fix of your defense. You're not going to fully fix the problem, but you got to put band-aids on it starting now and everything. The offense, they got to run the ball. It sets up your offense. You're a team that pounds the rock and beats them, does play action, does the little things to tire these defenses out and wins time possession, and you go blow them out after that. The object is you need to have your defense fresh. They had a lot of free and outs this year. The play calling on both sides is very suspect. I don't know how an offensive coordinator is a candidate for a head coaching job. I don't know how. But we have the talent to get it right. We have the leadership to get it right. Jalen Hurts will beat after this game, will have a win against every NFC team in this league. And I'm picking probably 31 to 23.
All right, 7 points. All right, I'll go with Joe. Joe, did they cover the spread? Let me give you the spread here for tomorrow night. For Monday night, next Monday night against the Seattle Seahawks. They are a +4 favorite. They just got to win by a touchdown.
It's funny how Drew said all that, and everything makes sense at the end. But my one question to every single Philadelphia Eagle fan is, who is the leadership on that team? My second question and answer is, I think Philadelphia wins by 10+.
All right.
I think they go into Seattle. I think they're playing in Seattle this weekend. I think they go into Seattle and just play a good football game. Good 4 quarters, and Philly wins this game easily. But I'm going to pick more of 35-22 the final.
All right. Now, Joe, I didn't get to ask you earlier. We were going over some of the games, and Drew's already kind of answered this. But tomorrow, the Raiders, who played absolutely horrible against Speech Impediment Man's Vikings team. Speech, our buddy Speech, was here this past weekend. 3 points is all they were able to muster up. And it's rumored that Jimmy G, y'all remember Jimmy G. I know you remember Jimmy G very well, Joe. He's going to play tomorrow is what they're saying.
I like him.
And Nick Mullins.
I like him.
Nick Mullins, who used to be the 49ers backup quarterback, is now the Vikings starting quarterback this Sunday. Do these two former San Francisco 49er quarterbacks come up with wins this weekend?
Yes. And I got to say, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G, a good Portuguese brother. I think he's Portuguese. I love the Portuguese people.
But he's Italian. He might be a little bit Portuguese, but he's Italian, I think.
Yeah, I think his mom's Italian and his dad's
could be
Portuguese.
I know my wife.
But anyways,
my wife likes him.
Point.
Yeah, get to the point.
Guy, he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to, I think the Raiders win. I think the Raiders win.
All right,
but I think Jimmy G has been mistreated in Las Vegas and been mistreated for a very long time in the NFL. It's so sad to see, him over 4 years sitting as a backup quarterback in front of Tom Brady. I think this guy should have went to a team like the Indianapolis Colts, or the Packers should have picked him up once Aaron Rodgers left. This is a veteran quarterback that can get games done, that can go into AFC, can go into the championship, that can go into the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. He just needs to be on a team that can protect them most of the time.
Well, I'll agree with you that. And if I still have any Raiders fans in here, I think they agree with you. He's been mistreated here with Las Vegas. Now, to end this show, because usually we stop by now, Drew, this is not related to football this week, but two very stories that I've been watching closely, and they are involved with San Francisco in general. One of them is Draymond Green, who we love boxing. You know that, Joe. Drew and I do a boxing show. Draymond Green did like a spinning back fist, and today it came out that he is going to be suspended indefinitely. I'll ask both of you. Does Draymond Green have a career in boxing afterwards, and is being suspended indefinitely the right call by the NBA?
Who goes first?
Go ahead, Drew.
No, he does not have a career in boxing. No, but I'm gonna be honest. Draymond Green has a mental problem. I think he has a mental problem. I think it's right that he was suspended indefinitely. Like, what's it gonna take for this dude to realize he's got to stop doing the bullshit that he does? Like,
Maybe this is it.
Like, you look at it, he was suspended for punching Jordan Poole at practice. Then he was suspended early on in the year. And now he does this again and he hits the player. To me, Draymond Green is a dirty NBA player.
He's also punched. Who did he punch in the nuts in a championship game?
He's a dirty NBA player. He likes kicking people in the nuts. He's a very dirty NBA player. And I'm sorry for people that are fans of him, but he's a very dirty player. And tell you the truth, something's got to give. Suspending him, I would have him suspended for the year and everything. Make an example out of him. And I think the Warriors need to make an example out of him too and say, yo, we can't tolerate this no more. We wasted money on you. We're not paying you, but we could have gave that to somebody else.
Well, I think I lost Joe, and I was just about to ask Joe. I appreciate Joe coming on here, Joe Sports Channels guy. He's right here on YouTube. He's an old friend of our show, of the Shoe Shine, and a good friend. Oh, actually, he's back, so we'll get that. All right, Joe, you're back. Your take on Draymond Green, suspended and indefinitely, too harsh or just right?
I think they should suspend him for the whole year.
I hate to say it.
You've done it once.
Yeah.
You've done it twice. You've done it 3 times. It's 3 strikes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate to say it as a Dubs fan too, as a Golden State Warriors fan, I think he's gone too far. Absolutely gone
This
too
is
far.
the National Basketball Association. This is not boxing. You want to go box in a ring. You want to wrestle? Go to WWE. This is a guy that punches people in the groin, that punches people in the face, that punches people in practice, that has fights with his teammates. And you really want a guy in the locker room like that? No, thank you. Adam Silver, if you're listening, suspend this guy indefinitely, but suspend him for a year. Let him taste his own medicine, because once 3 strikes, you're gone.
Beautifully well said, guys. Okay, and my last thing of tonight for it's a football show, but this one also I was following closely. Ohtani was the most sought after baseball player in history with the highest contract ever written, and it turns out that the San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey, the future Hall of Fame catcher, now works for the organization in a ownership role, and he tried very hard to get Ohtani to become a San Francisco Giant. And apparently, Ohtani and his team and his people said that the city of San Francisco had too much crime, filth, and just overall the city's falling apart. And Ohtani didn't want anything to do with it, so he picked the Dodgers. Not that the Dodgers are in a much better, not LA is in a much better situation as far as homelessness crisis and crime, but $700 million. I just have to ask you, and I'll go with you, Joe, first. Overpaid or just right?
Overpaid? Absolutely overpaid. I don't care what athlete it is. It's LeBron James, Tom Brady, Tom Edward Brady, Aaron Rodgers, any of those guys. This guy is overpaid $700 million.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me for throwing a ball, from hitting a ball out of a park? Man, if it's $700 million, sign me up on that team. I'll hit 105 mile per hour. Hit me in the head. Give me a concussion, whatever. I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's going to pay back in their face. I think it's going to fire them back.
Yeah, the only team, Drew, that could do it and that could pull off something like that is, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers that seem to have an endless budget. Just right? Did he make the right move going to the Dodgers for $700 million? Overpaid?
I look at it like this. He's a pitcher also, and he's the DH. But at last time I check it, he's not going to be able to pitch anytime in 2024 because he had an injury, I think. So you're basically getting a designated hitter and everything. And he's not going to be on the field as a pitcher. Now I might be wrong that might not get on the field as a pitcher, but he was a somewhat good pitcher for the Angels. He did have a good record, a good ERA and everything. And I think the main reason why he chose the Dodgers because he was already in Los Angeles with the Angels and everything. Now, the question is there just such thing as an overpaid contract in Major League Baseball? Nowadays, you got players getting $350 to $400 million, but did it go up too soon to $700 million? Here's the thing: this guy had a great batting average in his career so far. He was hitting balls. A lot of times, he was hitting them well out of the park. Is it overpaid? You can say it's overpaid because it went from $300 million to $350 million to fucking $700 million. And he's getting $70 million a year. He's making $2 million a game. He's making $10,000 and some dollars a minute. And an hour, he's making he's probably making like 20 grand an hour now. So if this guy can be good, can give you between 40 to 45 home runs in 7 of those 10 years and still be a productive pitcher for the rest of that contract, and they're constantly in the playoffs, they're constantly contending for a World Series, then I'll have to say it's not overpaid. We won't know until maybe the 3rd or 4th year of that contract if they overpay for him or not. We have to see if the Dodgers still contend because there's a lot of cap space invested in them now. It's the most cap space invested in a player now. So we're not going to know until maybe year 3 or year 4 if this is an overpaid contract or not.
Yeah, Drew, I think Joe may have left, but I got to wrap up the show, and I just wanted to let Joe know. Everybody go check out my boy Joe's sports channel. He does a wonderful sports show himself, and he's always, Joe, if you're listening, you're always invited to come on Wednesdays for our football talk show. We're going to run the show. Oh, he's back. Was Adam? Oh, he's gone. Well, I was just going to say he's always invited here, Drew. I got to wrap up the show. Canelo Alvarez, Drew, DAZN's contract, original contract, $350 million for what, 10 fights? Do you remember where that contract ended up? In court, and it was never fulfilled. Never fulfilled because they could not pay him $35 million per fight. They just could not work out the numbers. Remember that? They're like, we can't pay you $35 million to fight, contenders or C-level contenders.
They wanted him to fight Triple G, and Triple G was guaranteed a Canelo fight when he signed with DAZN.
Right, and Oscar bamboozled him, and there was a lot of other things, but ultimately DAZN realized that they could not average out $35 million per fight, so they went back and renegotiated that deal. And we see Canelo now bouncing around. He controls his own destiny, but they were just unable to fulfill that. And like you said, Drew, I think it's going to take 3 or 4 years before we see whether or not the Ohtani contract was overpaid. Sin City Syndicate says he'll probably be injured. You never know. You know how injuries go with baseball. Anyways,
you gotta realize when contracts this long are given around in baseball, it's gonna take at least a couple years to see if it was worth investing the money into them or not.
Exactly. Well, guys, it's been a great show. Tailgate Talk NFL Week 15. Appreciate everybody. Make sure that you dropped a like, that you hit the bell notifications, that you're subscribed to the Shoe Shine. And Monday night we'll be doing our boxing recap, the Shoe Shine, right after Drew's Philly Eagles play on Monday Night Football. I look forward to it then. Everybody have a fantastic holiday weekend as we approach Christmas. See you next Monday, Drew. Peace out, everybody. Peace.